Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're embarking on an incredible journey through time to explore the rich and complex history of Nigeria, the giant of Africa. From ancient civilizations to its vibrant present, Nigeria's story is one of innovation, resilience, and profound cultural depth. So, grab your notebooks, get comfortable, and let's dive into the fascinating past of this remarkable nation. Our story begins long before the name Nigeria ever existed. The land we now know as Nigeria has been inhabited for thousands of years. One of the earliest known cultures to flourish here was the Nok civilization, which emerged around 1500 BC in what is now central Nigeria. Imagine this: while ancient Rome was still a small village, the Nok people were creating some of the most sophisticated art in the ancient world. They are famous for their stunning terracotta sculptures, which are the earliest known examples of large-scale sculpture in sub-Saharan Africa. These figures, with their distinctive triangular eyes and elaborate hairstyles, give us a glimpse into a highly organized and artistically advanced society. The Nok were also among the first in West Africa to smelt iron, a technology that revolutionized agriculture and warfare, allowing their culture to thrive for over 1,000 years. As the centuries rolled on, other powerful states and empires began to rise. In the northeast, the Kanem-Bornu Empire emerged around the 8th century. Located near Lake Chad, this empire became a major hub for trans-Saharan trade. Camels laden with salt, cloth, and beads traveled south, while gold, ivory, and enslaved people were transported north across the desert. This trade brought not only wealth, but also new ideas. Islam was introduced to the region through these trade routes, and the rulers of Kanem-Bornu adopted it, establishing a long-lasting Islamic tradition. The empire was known for its powerful cavalry and its sophisticated administrative system, lasting in various forms for over 1,000 years, making it one of the longest-lasting empires in African history. Meanwhile, in the southwest, the Yoruba people were building their own extraordinary city-states. Among the most famous are Ife and Oyo. Ife, considered the spiritual homeland of the Yoruba, became a vibrant cultural and artistic center around the 11th century. The artists of Ife created breathtakingly realistic bronze and terracotta heads that are celebrated globally for their craftsmanship. These sculptures weren't just art, they were historical records, depicting rulers and deities with incredible detail. Following Ife, the Oyo Empire rose to prominence around the 14th century. The empire's political structure was complex, with a powerful king, the Olofin, who ruled with the advice of a council of chiefs known as the Oyo Messi. This system of checks and balances was truly ahead of its time. To the south, in the lush rainforests, the kingdom of Benin emerged as a major power around the 12th century. Not to be confused with the modern-day country of Benin, this kingdom was famous for its magnificent art, especially its bronze plaques and sculptures. These artworks, known as the Benin Bronzes, decorated the royal palace and documented the kingdom's history, rituals, and achievements. The capital, Benin City, was a marvel of urban planning, with massive earthen walls and a well-organized layout that impressed the first European visitors. The Obo, or king, held both political and spiritual authority, and the kingdom thrived on trade in goods like palm oil, ivory, and pepper. Now, let's move to the southeast, home to the Igbo people. Unlike the centralized kingdoms of the Yoruba or Benin, the Igbo were organized into a network of autonomous villages and city-states. This decentralized system was governed by councils of elders and title holders. Despite this structure, or perhaps because of it, the Igbo developed a sophisticated society with a thriving economy based on agriculture and trade. They were known for their intricate art, particularly their Mbari houses, which were ceremonial structures filled with vibrant sculptures and paintings dedicated to the earth goddess, Ala. The Nri Kingdom, an ancient Igbo state, held significant spiritual authority, and its influence spread far and wide through its priests and rituals. The arrival of Europeans in the late 15th century marked a dramatic turning point. The Portuguese were the first to establish contact, primarily for trade. Initially, this trade was in goods like gold, ivory, and spices. However, it soon took a dark and devastating turn with the rise of the transatlantic slave trade. For over 3 centuries, millions of Africans, including many from the regions of modern-day Nigeria, were forcibly captured and transported to the Americas under horrific conditions. This trade caused immense suffering, depopulated entire regions, and fueled conflict between different states as they competed for control over the trade. The legacy of this era is deep and painful, and its impact is still felt today. By the 19th century, the dynamics began to shift again. The British abolished the slave trade in 1807 and started promoting what they called legitimate commerce in goods like palm oil. This shift gave them a reason to become more involved in the internal affairs of the local kingdoms. At the same time, a major event was unfolding in the north. The Sokoto Caliphate was established in the early 1800s by the Islamic scholar and reformer Usman den Fodio. Through a jihad, or holy struggle, he united the disparate house estates into a vast and powerful Islamic empire, one of the largest in Africa at the time. The Caliphate promoted education, trade, and a unified legal system based on Islamic law. The late 19th century saw the scramble for Africa, as European powers raced to colonize the continent. Britain, seeking to protect its economic interests and expand its empire, gradually increased its control over the Nigerian coast. In 1861, they annexed Lagos. Through a combination of treaties, often coercive, and military conquest, they extended their influence inland. The Royal Niger Company was instrumental in this process, establishing commercial dominance over the Niger River area. The resistance was fierce. Leaders like King Jaja of Apobo and the rulers of Benin fought to maintain their independence, but they were ultimately overcome by superior British firepower. In 1914, the British formally amalgamated the northern and southern protectorates and the Lagos colony into a single entity, creating the Colony and Protectorate of Nigeria. This was a pivotal moment. The name Nigeria, suggested by the British journalist Flora Shaw, was derived from the Niger River. However, this amalgamation was done for administrative convenience, lumping together over 250 different ethnic groups with distinct languages, cultures, and political systems, without any consultation. This arbitrary fusion laid the groundwork for many of the political challenges that Nigeria would face in the future. British colonial rule was a system of indirect rule, particularly in the north, where they governed through the existing emirs of the Sokoto Caliphate. In the south, where centralized authority was less common, they appointed warrant chiefs, which often disrupted traditional power structures. The colonial economy was structured to benefit Britain. Nigerians were encouraged to produce cash crops like cocoa, palm oil, and groundnuts for export, while British manufactured goods flooded the local market. While the British did introduce Western education and built some infrastructure like railways and roads, these were primarily designed to facilitate the extraction of resources. The early 20th century saw the rise of Nigerian nationalism. A new generation of Western-educated elites began to question colonial rule and demand greater participation in their own governance. Figures like Herbert Macaulay, often called the father of Nigerian nationalism, founded the first Nigerian political party. The movement gained momentum after World War II, as soldiers returning from fighting for the British Empire came back with a new sense of awareness and a desire for freedom. Newspapers, labor unions, and political parties like the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons NCNC, led by Nnamdi Azikiwe, and the Action Group, led by Obafemi Awolowo, mobilized the population and put increasing pressure on the British. After years of negotiation and activism, their efforts paid off. On October 1, 1960, Nigeria gained its independence from Britain, becoming a constitutional monarchy before transitioning to a republic in 1963. There was a great sense of optimism and hope for the future. Nnamdi Azikiwe became the first president, and Abubakar Tafawa Balewa was the prime minister. However, the deep-seated ethnic and regional tensions that were papered over during the colonial era quickly began to surface. The political landscape was largely divided along ethnic lines, with the three major parties representing the interests of the House of Fulani in the north, the Yoruba in the west, and the Igbo in the east. This tension boiled over in 1966 with two military coups that led to the tragic Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafran War, From 1967 to 1970, the eastern region declared itself the independent Republic of Biafra, leading to a brutal and devastating conflict. The war resulted in immense loss of life, primarily due to starvation in the blockaded Biafran territory. When the war ended in 1970 with Biafra's surrender, the federal government adopted a policy of no victor, no vanquished to promote reconciliation and national unity. The post-war years were a period of both economic boom and political instability. The discovery of vast oil reserves in the Niger Delta in the 1970s transformed Nigeria's economy. The country experienced a massive oil boom, which funded ambitious development projects. However, this newfound wealth also led to corruption and an over-reliance on a single commodity, a phenomenon often called the oil curse. Politically, the country endured a series of military dictatorships, with brief returns to civilian rule. These military governments were often marked by repression and human rights abuses, but also saw the creation of new states to address minority concerns and the movement of the federal capital from Lagos to Abuja. The struggle for democracy was long and arduous. Activists, journalists, and ordinary citizens tirelessly campaigned for a return to civilian rule. Finally, in 1999, their perseverance paid off. Nigeria transitioned to a democratic government, and Olusegun Obasanjo, a former military head of state, was elected president. Since then, Nigeria has held regular elections and has remained a democracy, a significant achievement given its turbulent past. Today, Nigeria is a country of incredible energy and potential. It has the largest population and economy in Africa. Its cultural influence is immense, with Nollywood being the second largest film industry in the world and Afrobeats artists like Burna Boy and Wizkid topping global music charts. However, the nation still faces significant challenges, including regional insecurity, economic inequality, and the need for good governance. But the story of Nigeria is a story of resilience. It's a testament to the strength and spirit of its people, who have navigated immense challenges to build a dynamic and forward-looking nation. From the ancient artists of Nok to the modern-day entrepreneurs of Lagos, Nigeria's history is a powerful saga of creativity, struggle, and enduring hope. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through Nigerian history. It's a vast and complex topic, and we've only scratched the surface. If you found this interesting, please hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into history, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What part of Nigeria's history fascinates you the most? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.